We're going to make something today, y'all, that's about as Southern as it gets. If you live in the Deep South, you have probably seen, at least, if you haven't eaten, a praline. You may call it something different. You might call it a praline or a praline. No matter what you call it in your neck of the woods, I think we can all agree that pralines are delicious. And you've got just some basic, I think it's basic pantry ingredients. You might need to buy you some pecans if that's not a pantry ingredient for you. I recently bought a praline, a big praline at one of those big convenience stores that's taken the world by storm. And when I bit into it, I thought, they've labeled this wrong. It was horrible, y'all. Make your own. Don't waste your money. They're really expensive. If you do buy pralines, make sure that somebody's making those that know what they're doing. But I'm going to show you a recipe that I think you can do. I'm going to be using, let me show you, I'm actually using a cookbook today. The Old Faithful. And if you'll see this little, my friend Gwen gave me this in 1988. That was on my first anniversary. And this has been well loved. And she wrote, I hope you get a lot of use out of this. If she had only known then, who would have ever thought it? So here's what you're going to need. First of all, you're going to need some kind of heavy pan or pot. And y'all know I'm using Old Faithful here, my favorite. And go ahead and put in your pot 2 cups of granulated sugar, 3/4 cup of buttermilk, 2 cups of pecans. Now it's entirely up to you whether you chop your pecans or leave them whole. My recipe actually said to leave them whole. I like them to be chopped because I like them to be distributed a little bit better. That's all up to you. 2 cups either way. Dump them in there. You're going to need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I've already got that in there. And you're going to need 2 tablespoons of butter. And we're just going to turn this on a medium to medium-high heat. Y'all know I'm going medium-high because I want it to be fast. And I'm going to cook this until it's a soft ball stage. If you have a candy thermometer, which I do not because I don't trust them, you're going to need to cook it to about 235 degrees. I'm going to be using the old-fashioned method, the ice water in a bowl, like my grandmother taught me. I do have a meat thermometer, so I'll probably use it just to see if I'm getting close. We're going to start out kind of slow. Let me let you see this. You're going to need 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda that you're going to add at the end after this gets cooked. So go ahead and get that ready so that you don't have to dig around in the cabinet getting ready for it. Now today here in Tennessee, it's raining, the humidity is awful. I've already had to pull my hair up because I'm burning up. So these may not turn out. Some people say you don't make pralines. I'm hoping that what my grandmother told me one time is really true. When she was making divinity candy on a rainy day, I said, you're not supposed to do it when it's rainy. And she said, well, nobody ever told me that. And it was beautiful. So I'm hoping, I'm believing that it's going to turn out. Go ahead and get you some parchment paper. I've got some sheets of parchment paper. Get those spread out somewhere because this is going to move fast after it gets done. Now, when that sugar gets melted up, we're going to put us a lid on there. Try to find you a fancy one like I've got. And I'm going to put that lid on there on medium heat for about 2.5 minutes. This is to wash those sugar crystals down off the side of the pan so that it won't be grainy. My recipe doesn't call for vanilla, but you got to have some vanilla when you got butter and sugar and all this other stuff. We're going to put about a teaspoon of vanilla in there. I'm going to be using a scoop to dip mine out, and I'm using a pretty small scoop this time. I usually use a large one, but I'm taking these to church for my folks in my class, and I want to have enough to go around, so we're going to make them small. Alrighty, I cooked this for 2.5 minutes with the lid on. Now I'm taking the lid off, and I'm going to use my big wooden spoon, and I'm just going to stir this constantly. We want to get to a soft ball stage at this point. So I'm going to stick my meat thermometer in there and just see where I am right now. I'm at about 220 degrees, so I have a little ways to go. You should be able to tell it'll start feeling a little bit thicker when you stir it. But the only real way to know, unless you've done this 1,000 times, is to either use the cold water method, and I'll show you how to do that, or use a thermometer. We're right at 230, so I'm gonna go ahead and check. Let me show you how to do this. Just gonna get some of my liquid, drop it into my bowl, take my fingers and see if it'll make a ball. That's why it's called a soft ball. If it's ready, I like for it to be a firm, soft ball that does not flatten out, and you see that's flat. We are not there. I can tell by the way it feels that we're very close. Okay, we're gonna check again. Getting a little better. You can see the ball is a little bit more of a ball. We're still not there. All right, my meat thermometer says I'm at 235. Let's pull it off, see what we got. I want a firm, soft ball. I'm going to go about 30 more seconds. Looks like we got a ball. Now I've got my baking soda that I already had ready. This is 3/4 of a teaspoon. And I'm going to add that in and watch what happens. It's going to foam up. We're going to get really foamy. And we're just going to beat this with our wooden spoon until time to drop it out on our wax paper. And now I'm going to drop it out. Now we're going to move pretty quickly. Some recipes call for brown sugar, and those will be a little bit darker than these. Here's what you've got when they cool off. This was the really big one that I made. Let me just show you kind of what they look like. They're a little crisp. That's what you want. Make sure when you're cooking this that you get it all the way to soft ball. You want a firm, soft ball. If not, they'll still be sticky. So y'all can see it did work in high humidity weather. Good luck, y'all.